Hi guys!
Hi guys. Today we're going to interview Stifyn Parri.
Star of The West End, Les Miserables, just one of the big shows he's been in.
And he was the first ever gay kiss on television, shown on the 9 o'clock news.
And his name's Stephen.
I said Stephen.
Said Stifyn. I said
Stifyn.
Stifyn.
My name is Stifyn Parri, although it is spelt rather stupidly, and I am about to do a one-man show called Stifyn Parri, Shut Your Mouth. The reason I called it that is that's what people have said to me all my life, and I thought it was about time that I opened it and said a few home truths about showbiz. I'm originally from a place called Rhosanachridog, which sounds like a throat infection, but it's a small mining village, northeast Wales. I spent a very bizarre childhood there, which is all covered in the show, until I went to drama school. Then I came to Cardiff, and then somebody should oil that door over there. I then left Cardiff, went to drama school, came to Cardiff, left for London, did musicals in the West End, and settled back here in Cardiff. It was 85 till 87 I was in the show. I remember sitting on my brown shag-pile carpet in Fairwater in my flat saying, I wonder who's going to be playing Gordon's boyfriend, because they talked about him. Gordon was Gordon Collins, who had gone off to France as a ginger-haired guy, came back with brown hair, was a different person completely, and they turned him gay. And they decided that they wanted to bring a boyfriend in, and they kept talking about this Christopher Duncan. And I remember specifically sitting thinking, I wonder who they'll get. Then I got a call from my agent saying there is an audition. The audition story I will be telling you in the show on November the 26th in the Wales Millennium Centre. That was the most bizarre, ridiculous audition I ever had. It was for one episode. I ended up doing 2 years. I ended up giving a peck to Gordon on his cheek, and the next minute we were on the 9 o'clock news. First gay kiss on British telly. Not EastEnders, as they've said recently. Liars.
So you were the first ones.
We were the first ones. It was a massive fuss because it was a peck on the cheek. The bizarre thing for me was, as a gay man, I hadn't come out at that point, so I basically came out to the rest of the world via the 9 o'clock news, which is also in the show.
And how did that go?
Well, like everything in my life, it becomes a bit of a comedy drama without me trying to make it that way. It's just the way it happens. I remember one funny thing, I wrote a letter to my brother because coming out then was completely different to now. And I remember writing to him and saying, I hope you still like me, but I thought I'd let you know I was gay. And he wrote a letter back saying, I don't know why you worry about it, we never liked you anyway. Which I thought was really funny, and he was as cool as a cucumber. There were major issues in those days. Because I'd done a lot of work in North Wales and I'd done a lot of work in the Welsh language, I already had a sort of a presence within the media, so I didn't want to disappoint or upset anybody, and you just hope that those people stuck with you. But as soon as I decided, right, it's been on the 9 o'clock news, I might as well go home and tell my mother, nobody batted an eyelid.
Mr. Producer, I mean, you're like a jack of all trades, but maybe you're a master of all.
And I can do nothing properly. Basically, the company started because of what I did on my first day of school, which is ask a teacher if I could create something. That's all I've ever done. I've never really wanted to work for anyone. I have clients, but the company, Mr. Producer, has been going for 17 years, and all I ever set up the company to do was to do things in order to entertain people. Luckily enough, I got the job of being creative producer to open the Wales Millennium Centre. Through that, that's also a great story, working with Bassi, book early to avoid disappointment. So that show, stories in the show. I then, through the success of that, because that went on news worldwide, it did help that we had hundreds of thousands of pounds of the fireworks, but there you go. I then got offered the creative producer role for Ryder Cup Wales, and that was without me ever having played a round of golf. So I've been really, really lucky. We've opened most of the places in Cardiff, Tiger, Hugo Boss, John Lewis, IKEA, most hotels. I've had a really busy 17 years with Mr. Producer, but this is probably Mr. Producer's most passionate child, that I'm about to give birth to, which is a little bit like giving a breath birth to a hedgehog, but it'll happen.
I mean, it's fair to say, I mean, you've lived and worked a varied life, and you've worked with some of the biggest names. You're certainly friends with a lot of the biggest names. So is this going to be incorporated into your show? Are we going to find out things about...
You're definitely going to find out things about some Welsh stars that you didn't know before. None of them who will run after me and sue me, I hope. If they do, I hope they can run fast. But yes, I am divulging some backstage stories, some gossip, some diva tantrums, some major Hollywood weddings, some outrageous things that have happened to me. There have been situations in my life that, one, I couldn't believe I was in them myself, and nobody else would have ever got into that situation. My problem was editing that down and not making it a 5-hour production, because I've got a lot to say.
So, the biggest diva of them all. Come on.
Well, it ain't me. I think the biggest known diva I've worked with is Miss Shirley Bassey. However, I think if you deliver like she delivers on stage, you can act any which way you want. She's never had, she did put her hand into my face and say no rather loudly once, but I think the most outrageous thing Shirley Bassey has done with me is made me eat everything on a buffet table before she tasted anything, because I think she thought somebody was trying to poison her. I don't think she cared whether I died or not, but I'm still here. And I'm here. Yeah, I did a flop first, which was always handy. I did a musical called Metropolis, straight after leaving Brookside. But that ran for 9 months with Brian Blessed, who, if he sang any louder, I think he would have shat himself. You can cut that bit out if you want. If not, keep it in with pleasure. I then went from that to, and this story's also in the show, I had many auditions for a certain musical produced by Cameron McIntosh. I didn't get that part, but 3 weeks later I landed the role of Marius in Les Miserables, which is bizarre because I used to share a flat with Michael Ball when he was preparing to play the role originally. So when he was being a drama queen about it and saying, oh, I can't sing, and me thinking he was fussy, I then realised what all the fuss is about, because it's a really tough sing.
So, I mean, you've shared off camera with us some pretty gritty stories about some pretty big names in show business. When will that show ever be produced? No hold bars.
Well, there's a lot of words like allegedly in this show, just to save my own neck. I will follow this up. This was meant to be a tryout, but it's already snowballed into something larger than it should have been, and there's a documentary of it as well at the same time. So when I'm panicking the wings on my first night, I'll have the cameras with me. But I have already, bizarrely, got more or less enough material for a second show, but maybe this one is for 14 plus age-wise. Maybe I could do a rather naughtier one later on.
Look forward to that one.
You can expect an autobiography mixed with a stand-up and a gossip magazine. And I hope, or I think, this story is an entertaining one, even if people don't know me, because I'm not really talking about me, I'm talking about everybody that people know.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I have called it cheeky and charming, and I know I'm cheeky. I hope I'm charming. I've always treated everybody the same, whether it's Dame Shirley Bassey or Dame Lady Next Door. I treat everybody the same, and I think because of that reason, I've had more access into maybe major stars' lives, and I've had some most outrageous moments that will all be shoehorned into this show on the 26th of November.